Hey guys, it's Michelle Taylor Willis, and thanks again for tuning in to According to Michelle, the show where we learn all about businesses all around Atlanta, and I actually go in and do a little bit of work in the business. So today we're at Infiniti of South Atlanta on 4201 Jonesboro Road in Union City, Georgia. One of the cities actually in South Fulton County, which we love to affectionately call SoFu. So we're going to be talking to one of the owners, John Abate, here today. We're going to learn a little bit about the car buying business. I am literally going to sell a car to some lucky soul here, and I'm going to do better than the salespeople they got on the floor, just FYI. And then I'm going to tell you how you can get your business on According to Michelle. So let's get started. I know you've been doing this for a long time.
It's a very interesting story. At the young age of about 21 years old, I became a single parent, and I was putting myself through school, waiting tables. My intention was to go to Georgia Tech and go into industrial engineering or industrial management. I happened to wait on an owner of a car dealership. This was in 1986, and she was there with her accountant. And when she got the bill in 1986, $55, not including the tip or anything, that's when she offered me a job.
What do you think she saw in you that made her offer you a job?
Well, you may remember a restaurant called Steak and Ale.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Okay, well, Steak and Ale was famous for their prime rib and their salad bar, but at one point they had this fresh fish that wasn't on the menu. And I learned pretty quickly that, the more I sold, if I got 15%, the more I would make. As a single parent, I needed to. I had a certain budget that I needed to make on a monthly basis that I had figured out, and I figured out the more I sold, the more I would make. So I got really good at selling. As a matter of fact, they gave me my own room, and I think what really impressed her was they used to have the dessert tray, and I think I had like 6 or 7 tables in my room, and I would come and give a dessert tray presentation to the whole entire room. And when she saw that, I think she said to herself, yeah, that guy can sell cars.
Do you think she thought that because the desserts were just so awful that if you could get her to buy a dessert, or
Well, the desserts were great, okay, I can tell you that. But I sold her the fresh fish, which was the most expensive thing that they had. I upgraded her on some wine that she bought. She probably could have bought a bottle of wine for what I upgraded for her on, by the glass.
Sure.
And then she bought a dessert. And she told me afterwards, she goes, I didn't even want dessert, but the presentation was so good I had to get one.
Do you remember your presentation from that?
No, I don't, because we had, I do remember some of the things that I used to present, but not the dessert tray presentation.
Well, that was only like, 5-6 years ago, right?
Oh, yeah. No, a little more than that.
So you're a single dad.
Yes, I raised my son from 9 months old, and he's 35.
Wow, that's amazing. That's great. I mean, there's so many untold stories of fathers. I mean, we hear, about moms having to do everything, but dads are really kind of rising to the occasion these days.
Well, I'm really, really fortunate in that my mother was a single parent with me, and she has an amazing story.
Yeah.
My mother does, and I won't go into that right now because her story is much better and bigger than mine. But I said to myself, gosh, if this woman can do it, then I can sure do it too.
Right.
And
that was all here in Atlanta.
It was.
Okay.
Yep. And so, she's been a role model, a mentor, and an idol for me, for many, 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 many years. And again, that was where my inspiration came from, was watching her do it, and simultaneously have a career.
Right.
And people ask me all the time, how'd you do it? One day at a time. That's how you do it.
Right.
Just one day at a time.
That's impressive. I'm glad we did that, because if nothing else, I'll at least know that you're an amazing dad, right?
Well, look, you'd have to ask my son that question, okay? Of course, sometimes you're better at some things than others, and I made a lot of mistakes as a parent. There's no question about that. But I did the best I could, and we have a loving family, and he's a great young man. So I'm very fortunate.
Well, you're a great guy, so I can't imagine that he would be anything less, right?
Well, thank you so much for saying that. I'm very appreciative of that.
So this woman sees you and she hires you and hires you as a salesperson.
Right.
So that's your first kind of foray into...
Yes, I figured I could always go back to waiting tables, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's very interesting because I worked my first week, maybe it was 2 weeks, but I can't remember when I got my first paycheck, but my budget at the time, Michelle, I needed to make $1,600 after taxes for the entire month. That was what I had to make to pay for, myself and my son, and, pay our rent and car and food and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
My first paycheck was $1,500.
$100 short.
$100 short for 1 week. And I was like, you know what? If I really try hard at this, if I really, really work hard at it, who knows what the possibilities are.
Right.
So that's how it all started.
And so then I guess you just worked your way up.
I did.
So now, we're obviously at Infiniti of South Atlanta, and you're one of the owners.
I am.
So what's the toughest part about running a business like this, really car dealership? Because this is like cutthroat. Everybody can't do this.
Well, I would say the hardest part is the people aspect.
Okay.
And I don't necessarily mean our customers. Our customers are great.
Mm-hmm.
It's, the personnel that you have, because, your personnel defines you.
Right.
You are, your people.
Sure.
And, I've always had a philosophy in sales that if it's not right for the customer, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you take care of your customers, they're going to take care of you. So my philosophy has always been, take care of your team, have your team take care of your customers, and I'll be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And also my philosophy is if I can help my team achieve their goals and their dreams, then kind of by default, I achieve my goals and my dreams.
Right.
So, but that's probably the hardest aspect, is just dealing with the people. I have high expectations.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty demanding person.
No, I would never guess that.
Yeah, well, I am, and so I push the guys. I tell them all the time. I forget the coach, was it Vince Lombardi, that said they hated me all the way to the championship.
Right.
And I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
But I do want to push them out of their comfort zone. I want to make sure that they're trained properly. My philosophy behind the people that we add to our team is hire the right person, train them properly, let them clearly know what your expectations are, and then hold them accountable.
Right.
And I found that to be a pretty good formula, but you've got, in order to get to number 4, which is holding them accountable, you got to get the right person, you got to train them properly, and I think that's where a lot of organizations fall short.
Right.
Clearly let them know what your expectations are, and then you can hold them accountable, but you have to do the first 3 first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's the toughest part about actually selling cars? Because I know, you were a waiter, but so let me back up. Have you sold anything else since you stopped waiting tables? Because it's pretty much been cars for the last 6 or 7 years, right?
There was a short period of time in 1999 where I resigned from I was executive manager of another dealership,
Okay.
Infiniti dealership, and the owner had sold out, and I didn't see that I had a future with the organization, so I decided to resign, and I started my own business, where I was basically I could do pretty much anything in the dealership, from training general managers to hiring and recruiting salespeople. I could train any service managers or parts managers. So I started my own company, just kind of consulting with dealerships. Anything I could get a dealer to pay me for. You need your shoes shined? Okay, I'll do that for you. It didn't really matter, So really, you're selling yourself is what you're selling, and so even in sales, today when you're selling an automobile, or even as an owner who's leading the team, you're still selling yourself. They have to have confidence in you that you know what you're doing, that
Right.
you can lead them to success. So I look at it as kind of all of one thing from a sales standpoint. But again, I go back to, if it's not right for the customer, don't do it. So I look at my team members as almost in a way as my customer. Again, if I can help them achieve their goals and their dreams,
Right.
then I'll achieve mine kind of indirectly. But the key is helping them understand why what you're asking them to do will benefit them.
Got it.
And make them better, and give them the ability to achieve that success, and to achieve their goals and their dreams. And sometimes it means that you got to get a person out of the comfort zone and push them a little bit. But we do training. This is a perfect example. We do training 5 days a week at the dealership.
Okay.
And traditionally we'll start. I used to make it 8:30, but now I've made it 8:45 because traffic here in Atlanta. But I've had a lot of salesmen and people that were on our team in the past come to me and say, I hated every minute of it. I just hated being there at 8:30, but I'm so glad you made me do it, John.
Right.
Now I use the training in my business.
Yep.
People that are no longer with our team, but even the people that have remained on our team. they'll tell me all the time, man, it really makes a difference. So thank you. Thank you. They thank me for investing in them.
Got it. So then what is the toughest part about selling a car to someone?
Well, there's a lot of good competition out there. There's a lot of good automobiles out there, and we don't have the perfect situation for everybody. So it's number one, we have a process that if the process is followed, we have a very high percentage of people that buy from us, and the reason is we do is because our research indicates that people really are looking for a few really important things. Number one, they want you to treat them like they want to be treated. The golden rule, right?
Yeah.
Number two, help them find a vehicle in your inventory that they would love to drive and love to own. That's easy with our lineup of cars. Number three, give them information that they need to make an educated decision, And number four, help them comfortably fit it in their budget. Those are really the hardest things. And if we can focus on those things, and sometimes those aren't enough, Michelle, and that's why we've done a few things at Infiniti of South Atlanta. We've got some programs like our airport park and service program, which our customers just absolutely love. That eliminates the need for the client to come back to the dealership for service, and we pay for the parking, which is great. People absolutely love it. But we have other programs like that on top of doing the things that they really expect, which is kind of the price of entry, do some other benefits that I think our clients really enjoy and kind of separate us from the competition as well. But I guess the hardest thing really is making sure that we address the customer's needs versus our needs.
Right.
The customer has a need, and we have to determine.
Right, because you need to sell cars, right?
Well, that's what we do for a living, absolutely. But again, if it's not right for the customer, let's not do it.
Right.
Okay. I don't have the perfect vehicle for every single person out there. So let's assess their needs, see if we have a car that'll fit across the board. That they love to drive, that'll fit in their budget, and if we can do that, then I would say the majority of the time, it's fairly easy for us to get a client.
Right.
Sell them a car, and I think people really appreciate that. I hear all the time people say that this is the best buying experience they've ever had because we have more of a consultative approach.
Right.
And I teach my guys, look, if it's not right, just tell them.
Yeah.
It's not right. We don't have everything for everybody all the time.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I mean, I know people who personally have bought cars here, have been serviced, or gone through multiple car buying experiences here, so it's great. So let me ask you this. The common misconception, because from my perspective, I remember years ago when people assumed that there was so much room in cars, right?
I'm so glad you asked that question.
Yeah, and so I know that that's not the case anymore. I mean, I know sometimes you guys are lucky to just make some money on a car. What is the biggest misconception? And you can speak to that, what I just mentioned as well.
Okay, yeah. Again, I'm very glad you asked that question. So the internet really changed everything, and I'm very glad that it did. Okay, it's made all car dealers become a lot more transparent, and the ones that aren't, well, guess what? You can read about them online.
Right.
Okay. What it's basically done is, especially from a used car standpoint, new cars, you've got an MSRP, suggested retail price. All the manufacturers publish their cost online. You can go online and literally in less than 60 seconds, you can find out exactly what I paid for the car, and the information's correct.
Right.
It really is. Okay. Sometimes you don't know what sort of factory to dealer incentives that there are, but if you start reaching out to one or two or three dealers, you'll find out real quick what you can really buy the vehicle for.
Okay.
But from a used car standpoint, we have learned, and this is becoming the same thing with new cars. We've learned that if we advertise a high price, that we don't get the opportunity. So we've taken a little different approach with our used car sales and our new car sales, for that matter, which is really publishing our lowest price. Now, to your point, it has caused some difficulty in that customers still want to negotiate because they're used to, I still want to negotiate. I see a price, and when I buy a car, I negotiate.
Right.
But we have found that advertising a high price on a car is not going to even get us the opportunity to sell that person a car. So nowadays, we really try to advertise our absolute lowest bottom line price and let that be it. And when the customer comes in, we're now less in the negotiating business and more into the justification business, where I'm telling you, okay, Michelle, well, this is why our car is priced the way it is. This would be we use a lot of third-party information as well, like Kelley Blue Book or National Automobile Dealers Association, Edmunds.com, Cars.com. We'll look and we'll show that to a customer and say, okay, this is what Kelley Blue Book says our cars on average, should sell for, or this is what NADA says our cars should sell for, and we're always way below what the average is on our vehicles, unless it's
even with all the other things that because you guys have a lot of benefits to just buying a car here.
Yes.
So even with all that stuff.
Even with all that, and look, you can always find something that's priced lower, but then it becomes what's most important to you: the price or condition of the car.
Right.
So from a dealer standpoint, we've got a reputation that we want to uphold.
Right.
We don't want to sell junk to anybody.
Yeah.
We're not going to take a car knowingly anyway that's been smashed and put back together and sell it to somebody, because we don't want to take the chance of having a reputation hurt.
Right.
Some people don't care about that. They just want to sell the car and go to the next one. But we're looking to build a business. But when we advertise the vehicle at our lowest price and someone wants to come in and still negotiate, we had a gentleman the other day that says, look, unless you reduce the car $500, I'm not going to buy the car, and you're going to let me walk over $500. I said, sir, that's our lowest price.
Right.
We did a lot of research. Manufacturers have done a lot of research with customers for years and years and years. Is do you want to negotiate? And everybody says no. We don't like the process of negotiation. Right. We just don't like that. But then I think they forgot to ask the next question, which is, given the option to negotiate or not negotiate,
will you negotiate?
What would you prefer?
And people people want to negotiate. They absolutely do.
Well, I do too.
Yeah.
So I understand their position, but and I'm glad that things have changed, because it really has helped us. Now we can say, look, if it's $100 as a courtesy, Michelle, sure, I'll give you the $100 as a courtesy, but I don't have $500 worth of room.
Right.
In that used car that I'm advertising. We take more of a velocity approach. We have an old car term. This is an old car term, but it's stack them deep and sell them cheap. So
stack them deep and sell them cheap.
Stack them deep and sell them cheap. So we really do. We try to buy a good car. We try to recondition it and get it as close to new as we can possibly get it. Okay, they're not new cars because they're used,
sure.
Right? But we get as close to it we get it. Update the services and make sure everything is safe. And then we put a good price out there. And the thing is, we know when a customer comes to us to look at a vehicle that we've got priced, that our price is good because they have the same access that we have via the internet. They can look online, just like we have programs. I have a program that I can look at any geographic area on a specific vehicle, and the program will tell me how many cars are advertised online, okay, what the price is, how long they've been online, what the original price was, what it is now, what the equipment is, basically everything. Consumers have the same information, so we're all looking at the same things.
Right.
So we know exactly how we want to price our vehicle from the very beginning to make sure that it's a well-priced vehicle in the marketplace.
Gotcha.
So, we've got the same information that the client has, so we know if our car is priced too high, or in some cases if it's priced just perfectly, and we know that from the very beginning. There might be other reasons they tell us they don't like that vehicle. Maybe it didn't perform the way they thought it was going to perform, or maybe it didn't look as good as person as it did in the pictures, or something about the vehicle, but the price is something they knew when they walked in the door.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of selling cars, I think we're going to take a stab at, I'm going to take a stab at trying to do that. I've sold tons. I've sold lots of things, but car is something I've never sold. But I feel like I might be able to pull it off, so we'll see. All right, guys, stay with us. So we know where we are. We've already talked to the GM. I'm going to actually try to sell a car. So let's just see how I do. If I bomb it, just tell me I did a great job and pat me on the back, all right? So let's see what we do. All right, let me find our customer. Nice to meet you.
Edward Ohans Jr.
Excellent. All right, so you're interested in a car, right?
I am.
You came here for a reason.
I did.
So tell me, what are you looking for in a car?
Style. I need cargo space.
And cargo space.
Right.
Well, you're right. This is the car for you. You don't even need me. Why did you come here? You have no need for me. You could have done this on your own.
Oh, no. I like to touch and feel it, sit in it, see how it rides. Before I drive out.
That is a lot of information, guys, and I'm going to do absolutely nothing with but sell this man a vehicle. All right, see longer and farther. Not that you're old, but
sure.
I mean, you need to. So you need some good eyes, right?
Right.
The other thing that's really cool is you mentioned technology. Mm-hmm. So I don't have the ability to turn this thing on, but if you actually look, the TV, we've got the rear backup camera. And if you'll just step to the back of this car for me, I'm gonna open this up. This is where I'm gonna get him. Oh my God, would you look at all this space back here? I can like climb in it and take a nap. Literally, look at this. How's he gonna tell me no? And if that's not enough, we can actually put the seat down. Can't we? Right here. Hey, I got this.
You got it.
Watch me put the seat down, guys. I was testing him to see if he was a quick study. He is. You're very good at all you do. Look at this. Now I'm camping, watching TV, just like this. Okay, you got styling, you got cargo space. You can do all kinds of things. You mentioned a whole bunch of stuff earlier. You like touching and feeling, and guys, it's a family show, but I'm pretty sure this trunk might be made for all of that. All right, Ed, thank God I do yoga and work out 100 times a week. Now, what do you think, Ed? Let's talk price.
Okay.
How much you want to buy this thing for? Because he's going to buy this car.
Well, I think something like this should cost about $51,000.
51,000. What if I told you this car was $49,999.99? Would you want to buy this car?
I would.
Would you take it home today?
I will.
Guys, I'm a magician. I'm the best at what I do. Don't let anyone tell you differently, all right? And thank you so much. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Enjoy your new QX50. And if he doesn't buy it, I'm going to buy it. Or I'm going to ask the owner to let me just drive it for a couple of days. Here's what happened today. We showed up out of nowhere at Infiniti of South Atlanta. I just randomly picked the spot. Actually, I didn't. You know that. But we got a chance to meet with John, who gave us a little bit of insight about cars and buying cars, not just here at Infiniti, but anywhere, right? We learned a little bit about the car buying process, and we got a chance to meet some really. So you can always visit them at the link below. Make sure you follow them on Instagram, Facebook, but any of the guys here or the girls will be happy to service you. And if you want your business featured on an episode of According to Michelle, all you have to do is follow the information below, and we'll make sure that we get you on camera with me. And make it somewhere cool, because, you know, I want to, like, put some tattoos on people or shave heads or whatever. All right? We'll talk to you soon, guys. Thanks for tuning in.